interested in one of the literalized metaphors that's getting a lot of attention today, and that is informed consent. And I was wondering, you said in previous lectures that what happens between two consenting adults...
Can you hear? Can people hear you? Okay.
One of the latest literalized metaphors that's been getting a lot of attention is informed consent. And in psychotherapy, we've been borrowing that metaphor from medicine. And you said in previous lectures that what happens between two consenting adults is nobody's business. And I was wondering, in your own practice, how you, I'm not sure how I want to word it, how you protect, how you know that a client who is coming to you to engage in some conversation, how you portray what you do in a way that allows the person to make a decision about whether they want to continue coming to you.
That's you are raising, of course, a whole area on which I already touched in the first chart, an extremely important issue. I have another chart, which if there is time, maybe I will show. Now, in some ways, it's extremely easy to answer it in the personalistic way in which you are asked. But let me say something more general about informed consent. As I indicated earlier, the practice of medicine, exclusive of psychiatry and exclusive of pediatrics, continues to rest on informed consent. Now, how do you know that the person is giving informed consent to anything is in the last analysis not any more knowable than how do you know that somebody who has saved up $10,000 should really buy an automobile or save some more money for his daughter's college education. I prefer to go at this in the traditional American English legal way and use certain concepts without which we cannot operate. And that is the concept, first of all, of presumption. As exemplified by American law, you are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty if you are arrested. Now, this is a presumption. It's not necessarily the only way to do things. In Switzerland, which is certainly not any worse a country than America, you are presumed guilty until proven innocent. You have to presume something. Now, if you check into, to show you how this works, if you now check into, if you complain of aches and pains and can convince a doctor to admit you to a hospital, they will immediately call you a patient and they will presume that you are sick as hell, and they will spend thousands of dollars to make sure that you're not sick. The presumption will be overwhelmingly that you are sick. Okay? Now, if somebody, to answer your question, in my practice, this is an almost irrelevant issue, because nobody can get to my office as a client unless they call me and make an appointment with me directly. You can't make an appointment with my secretary. I mean, I like to practice very independently and very privately. So the first thing I do is somebody calls on the phone, I immediately talk to them. Well, I can find out more things in 30 seconds on the phone than it seems to me many psychiatrists can find out in 30 years by talking to patients. I am joking, but you know what I mean. So, and if I have any doubt, then I ask them. And last but not least, they have to pay a high fee. And so, and still, if there is any doubt, once we start talking about problems and the person says something like what came up in one of the case histories, well, Dr. Szasz, you know, I know you think this is, I should do something about this, but wouldn't you see my husband? Then I would say, well, that's a very interesting idea. Would you tell me why should I see your husband? Now, if that doesn't tell them what they are buying, I don't know what does. You see my point? So how does anybody know what it is that they are buying? You see, it's not an emergency procedure. I mean, it's the same informed consent as getting a room at the Hyatt. I mean, if I don't like it, I can check out tomorrow. I mean, I know what I'm getting after the first night, second night. That's why I have no sympathy legally. I have sympathy humanly. I have no sympathy with people who go for 5 years to Freudian analysts and then complain that I am no better off than I was before. Well, they have it coming. That's what I call a free market. It's no different than buying cigarettes.
In psychology and psychiatry, one of the principles is beneficence, and that is we need to do good for people, and entering in a fiduciary relationship, we need to protect people's rights. And it sounds like one of the things you're saying is let the buyer beware.
Certainly I'm saying buyer beware, but I'm also saying you should be honest, and I am saying that the buyer has to be intelligent. See, you smuggled in a word which I don't like. We talk about, you said something, I'm not sure I even heard you entirely correctly, about protecting people's rights. That's paternalism. People have to protect their own rights. You see, now, in my conversation, I am assuming something, and I hope you won't ask me anything about it, because I couldn't tell you even if my voice was good, even if I was here for 2 weeks. Please don't ask me about children. Because people always, once I make good points about adults, they immediately want to talk about children. And what my point is, until we have figured out the political economics and psychiatry of how to deal with adults, it's idiotic to talk about children. It's like somebody wanting to study calculus who doesn't know how to add and subtract yet. We have not figured out the most simple rights, like supposing somebody comes to a psychiatrist's office and says, "Doctor, I'm very depressed, maybe I should kill myself." Who is responsible for what? Does a psychiatrist all of a sudden have a responsibility for preventing the suicide? Now, why does he have that responsibility if a Roman Catholic priest doesn't? You can walk into a confessional and say, "I'm going to kill myself," and the priest is not responsible for preventing it. And so on. These are very important moral questions. Yes, sir.